Imagine being a sailor in the Pacific in 1942. It's the middle of the night. Enemy planes circle overhead. Enemy ships may be waiting just beyond the horizon. Older American destroyers struggled in this new kind of war. But then came a ship that changed everything, the Fletcher-Class destroyer. The Fletcher was not just another warship. It was fast, deadly, and tough. It had the right mix of firepower, technology, and survivability. It became the backbone of the U.S. Navy in World War II and set the standard for destroyers for decades. Before the Fletchers, destroyers had a serious weakness. Their guns were designed mostly for fighting other ships. That left them exposed to enemy bombers and torpedo planes. The Fletchers solved this with their dual-purpose 5-inch 38 guns. These cannons could hit ships at sea level and swing high to target planes in the sky. A well-trained crew could fire over 20 rounds per minute from each barrel. A 55-pound shell traveling at more than 2,500 feet per second could cripple even a heavy cruiser. These guns gave the Fletcher-Class unmatched versatility. But firepower was only half the story. In the early war, many battles happened at night or in poor weather. Older destroyers relied on human eyes and simple rangefinders. That meant guesswork. The Fletcher-Class changed everything. For the first time, they were built with radar from the start. Their SG radar could track ships up to 20 miles away. Suddenly, destroyers could fight with precision even in total darkness. They were no longer blind. Air attacks were still the greatest danger. Earlier destroyers had a gap between their heavy 5-inch guns and their light 20mm cannons. The Fletchers closed that gap with the 40mm Bofors. Each barrel could fire 120 rounds per minute. The standard layout gave them 10 barrels, forming a deadly wall of mid-range fire. As kamikaze attacks grew, some ships were upgraded to carry 14 barrels. Now they could fight planes at long range, mid-range, and close in, a layered defense that saved countless ships. Even so, a destroyer was still small. A single torpedo or bomb could sink it. That's why the Fletchers were designed to survive damage. Their hulls were split into watertight compartments. Engines and generators were placed in separate areas. Modern firefighting systems came standard. This meant many Fletchers limped back to port after taking hits that would have sunk older ships. All of this firepower and protection needed control. That's where the Mark 37 fire control system came in. It was an early analog computer tied to radar. It constantly calculated firing angles with speed no human could match. With it, Fletchers could hit planes flying at treetop level or ships more than 10,000 yards away, even in total darkness. It turned the Fletcher into one of the first fully integrated combat ships. Most wartime designs became outdated as soon as the war ended. Not the Fletcher. The designers had left room for growth, extra power, deck space, and weight allowance. This meant the ships could be upgraded as threats changed. They carried more guns late in the war. Afterward, many were modernized for the Cold War. Some became radar pickets, others minesweepers or anti-submarine escorts. They stayed in service long after many newer ships were gone. The Fletcher-Class destroyers were not just ships. They were engineering masterpieces. They could fight, they could survive, and they could adapt. In a war that demanded constant innovation, the Fletcher stood out as a design far ahead of its time. And its legacy lives on today in every modern destroyer sailing the seas.